Well, the hour of noon having arrived on June 30, 2024, I'll call the annual meeting of the Board of the Membership of Back Porch Radio Broadcasting Incorporated to order. I'm Stu Levitan, President of the Board, and we are joined by a number of board members and other participating members. Before I do, I want to say that we're calling this meeting to order first in recognition of the fact that we are on unceded land of the Ho-Chunk Nation, and we strive to honor their memory and respect their traditions. And secondly, this is the first annual meeting since the passing of Frank Emspak. And a moment of silence is not really appropriate when you talk about Frank Emspak, but I think we should at least take a moment inside ourselves to reflect on what a working class hero he was and what an honor it was to this station to have Frank involved with us as a programmer and a volunteer for so many years. And as my people say, his memory is for a blessing.
He will be sorely missed. And he was one of those people who pushed us to be better.
Yeah. He's a working class hero. And if you have not read his book, Troublemaker, it's an extraordinary narrative of a life very well lived. And I know we will continue to be doing some things to honor him. And I believe tomorrow is the celebration of his life. I don't have the details on it.
I think it's the next one.
Oh, next Monday. Okay. There's a good bit on the website about Frank, and his memory is for a blessing.
We want to do the 30-second.
Yeah, let's just take a moment to think about Frank and all of what he meant and accomplished. First, the next item of business is the approval of the membership roll. Are there any challenges to any people who have been declared as eligible for voting, or anybody who thinks that they have been improperly excluded from that list? Tom, are you aware of any challenges to any of the Fs?
No, but Jeff just put his hand up.
Okay, Jeff, yes.
You're muted, Jeff.
Jeff, you're muted. Jeff, you're muted.
I just sent Susan an email about this. My friend Greg Rosenberg just informed me that although he donates every year via online check, he doesn't get any WRT emails, but it's probably because there's no other identifying information besides his name. So I think it's not a challenge for this meeting by any means, but I think in the future we need to figure out, maybe it's just him, but I suspect there's at least a few other people who give that way that we may be inadvertently missing off our rolls.
Well, the thing is that listener sponsors don't vote. Only participating members vote. Listener sponsors can run for the board and serve on the board, but only participating members vote.
Okay, got it.
Actually, I was going to mention something about that in a moment. But okay, so the membership roll will stand as submitted. Approval of the agenda. One thing I did want people to note, that I modified what had been posted a day or two ago regarding the election of directors by adding what I think is an appropriate addition of questions from voting members, so that after the presentation by the candidates, if people have questions of candidates, they can ask them. If there is any objection to that, to including that on the agenda? Seeing none, we'll accept that as done. Then a brief report from me. The state of the station is good, and we are continuing to fulfill our mission statement of offering unique and diverse programming, expanding the community's cultural and musical experiences, and providing a forum to discuss public issues. And we're doing this through programmers and for audiences which have historically been underrepresented. The full mission statement is on the website. It is very inspiring, and I hope people are familiar with it. If you're not, take a chance to look at. Now, how did this fine state of affairs come to pass that we are in such good shape? Well, thanks to Donor Relations Director Susan Sheldon and Business Development Director Doug Holtz, and their assistance, we are financially stable. And we have successful and efficient fundraising and a great list of community events, most recently the expansion of Woodstock to be the kickoff event of the spring and summer festival season. Sybil Augustine has curated the most diverse musical programming anywhere, with legendary programmers who could be and sometimes have been paid serious money to do what they do for us for free. News and Public Affairs Director Shali Pittman leads an award-winning team of staff and volunteers, and this new summer journalism collaborative with six members of very underrepresented communities coming on to learn how to tell their stories and be part of the emerging media. That is a very exciting new development that I think we should all be really proud of. Technology and Facilities Director Tom Jones has been an engineering wizard and has brought us into the brave new world of audio over internet protocol. Digital director Aaron Schultz is bringing us into that brave new world of video production and expanding our live remotes and preserving our archives. And at the heart of it all is volunteer and outreach coordinator Adrian Ranney, whose 300 or so volunteers are the absolute lifeblood of WORT. So on behalf of the board, I want to thank all the staff collective, the part-time staff, and most importantly, the volunteers for all you have done and continue to do to make listener-sponsored community radio more than just stay alive, more than just survive, but we are thriving. And also a big shout out to co-founder and former President Dave Devereaux Weber, who has voluntarily performed countless technical and administrative tasks, some of them kind of gnarly. Even with all this good news, we obviously have challenges. We are young at heart, but we are legacy media in a shrinking medium. And our success at dealing with these challenges will determine whether or not we are so healthy at our 60th anniversary as we are for our 50th. So I'm very pleased to announce that at its most recent meeting, the board created a task force on WORT's future with the following charge, quote, to create a task force to recommend by June 2025 how WORT can best utilize available and emerging technologies and strategies to expand our listenership, volunteer participation, community impact, and revenue streams. That's the ballgame. Those are the things that we need to figure out how to deal with in the future. The operational details and budget will be set by the incoming board. If you are interested in working on this project, please let me know and we'll sign you up. I've referred obliquely to the fact that we have our 50th anniversary coming up. That planning has already started. Aaron Schultz is heading up that group. So if you are interested in working on that, and we always want volunteers, please drop him a line at aaron@WORT-FM.org. Just picking up something regarding the question Jeff Spitzer-Resnick asked, think for a moment what it says about WORT and the team that founded it, Dave and Mike Connor and some other folks, that under the structure they created, no matter how much money you give, you don't get to vote on the board of directors. You can serve on the board of directors, but the power to elect the board of directors is entrusted only to the people who volunteer. So this brilliant structure ensures that we will remain secure forever from a hostile takeover. And that was, I don't know if you thought that up on your own or that was what other community radio stations were doing. Of course, there weren't a lot of other community radio stations. And I think this is a real hallmark of WORT, that only the volunteers control our future. And I'm very proud of that. And finally, on a personal note, I want to assure the membership that the board and I take our responsibilities very seriously. We understand that we have been entrusted with a precious resource that this community loves and needs. And I assure you, we are doing our best to keep it strong and healthy. That is my annual report. It's also posted in the board folder. And again, on behalf of the board, thank you all. Now on with the rest of the business. I will now call to the front the treasurer, Dean Loomis, to talk about, give his report. Thank you.
Okay, similarly, that Stu, first let me report, Fred Amspecs, more or less tomorrow, indeed tomorrow at over at 4 o'clock. State, a little earlier if you were listening. I have some hard copy of the annual financial report that I passed around. I have some more here. Want one? It's also available on the web. And also our financial statements. If you really want to dig down and understand these things, you can look at them on there too. But similarly to what Stu mentioned, our financial situation is quite healthy. We have a very lengthy and thorough collaborative budget development process in place between staff and board, which is really one of the main responsibilities of a board member, is to approve a budget, often help develop it and ask questions. That's part of what's called fiduciary responsibility of being on a board. You have to really decide how much money to get in and how and where it's supposed to go. That's essentially what a budget a board member's responsibility is, to decide where it goes, who gets paid, and what do we pay for and where we put our money. It's not a simple discussion, but around that, particularly when it needs to match up with the mission of the state of the station and what WORT is. So it's important to do that. We have a very very high quality financial committee that meets monthly, a week prior to the board meeting, to review the prior month's board statements, financial statements. We are continually meeting our budget, our fund drives, always match and often overmatch our goals. So our volunteers and listener sponsors are doing well in that area. Our DJs that are promoting the online, the on air, often requests to donate, are often quite humorous and do a great job of meeting their assigned goals. We attach a number to each show, and we want them to try as hard as they can to get there. Some do, some don't. But they're all promoting it well and do a great job of that. Now, over the last several months, there's been a inconsistent board treasurer. So I've been assumed that role about 10 months ago, and assisted in stabilizing the committee and being able to meet regularly, have a thorough discussion and ongoing, because 1 month does lead to the next. The other thing we did over the last several months was develop what we call a dashboard. Those of you who are familiar with and understand financial statements, they're quite lengthy, and oftentimes the print is really, really small. So you really got to pay attention to it. So this essentially is a synopsis of what the financial statement means. And there are 3 parts to it. And this is not, it's more of a culmination, summation of up-to-date where we're at, not a snapshot. These terms get passed around. It's not a snapshot because the moment in time right now. This is a cumulative effect as to how we're relating to our budget. It breaks down the budget in pie graphs. And an interesting thing happened over the last several years, development of particular people that wanted to donate to a particular thing that we are doing here. So this first page is, if you take a look at that, these can be looked at online, or email me and I'll make sure you get them through WORT. But there's different funds that people donate particularly to. One is certainly the unrestricted ones. That's the people that just, and that's generally where most of our money goes. And you see this big pie chart here. The green part is unrestricted funds, and that basically includes the most big part of this is salary. even though we have 300 volunteers, we have paid professionals that we need to maintain the high caliber and quality of that of programming that we're offering here. But there's a journalism fund, an extraordinary new fund, a new development in the WORT system here. In matter of fact, when you want to hear about what's happening at the Republican convention, tune in here. We're sending 4 reporters to Milwaukee to report on this thing, and it's going to be fascinating. There's a mural fund. Next year, Stu talked about our 50th anniversary. We want to redo the mural on the outside of the building. It's cool, but it's old, and it's okay to retire a piece of art. The previous artists, you checked with them, they have no problem with this, and you don't want to just do it without telling the artist. That's not fair. So we're going to be doing that. Building fund. It's a building that gets old and you need stuff. Studio funds. Well, Stu talked about this upgrade of the boards. It cost almost $100,000 to do all that. And then the news fund is, as I talked about, the journalism and news funds, they're linked together, but we have an extraordinary new journalism program. So this kind of breaks down in a big picture where the money goes. There's another aspect of it where it breaks it down by month. You can look at that with some narrative that explains each one of these things. And then a year-to-date where we're at. So you can certainly take a look at these and email me if you want a copy, or we'll get a copy of these things too. Now, the last thing I'll mention to you is that we are what's called a 501c3 organization, and that gives us certain IRS exemptions for taxes. And to do that, you're also required to do an audit every year. We just had ours completed. The end of our fiscal year is today. You shoot for getting the audits done before the end of the year, and it was completed last week. And what it's showed is that we basically have a clean audit. If there's something wrong, they'll note it by calling it a finding. And there were no findings this year. There were some last year, and part of it was treasurers are not completing some of their responsibilities, but that's been changed by certain things that we were able to do. The audit, it's an interesting, they use audit language, so they said it was unremarkable, and it's not like, in my mind, I think, wait, we're a remarkable station. How come you just calling us unremarkable? But it means that there's nothing wrong. Nothing. They only remark on something if there's something wrong. There isn't anything, and so that will be taken care of. So our financial statement and finishing up is healthy. It's ongoing, and thank you for all of you guys that have donated, that may be listening in and volunteering to keep this station up and running and thriving. Any questions on this? Okay, that's good enough.
A motion to accept the treasurer's report. The second.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, Phil. Doug. Among our far-flung correspondents, Doug will now make a presentation from an undisclosed location.
It's not undisclosed at all. I'm in Ontonagon, Michigan, on the beautiful shores of Lake Superior, which they like to call it Gitche-Gumee up here.
Yeah.
Been having a wonderful weekend with friends. It's been very enjoyable. I have grown to love Hendrick's Gin while I'm up here. I apologize for the dog barking. And while I have a really strong signal at the moment, I'm going to give my report. So here it is, short and sweet. Business development saw another good year of growth with a rise in underwriting revenue of over 40% and a stronger participation in events. The Wortstock audience grew to more than 3,000 people, and the Chiliocracy event in February, as well as the Bolorama event in the fall, both sold out. In fact, we're expanding both of those events this coming year. The birthday bash saw a slump in audience, however, mostly due to a lot of events taking place the same night. Musicians for WORT events continue to perform well. Big shout out to Ralph Shively and the events work group for their work, making events fun and profitable. We also attempted a partnership with the Mallards this year, but it did not go as well as planned. CPB funding has risen considerably in the past year, which was a very welcome surprise. I continue to do the grant compliance things that are required throughout the year to make sure that we keep our CPB funding. Food donations for the pledge drive have increased post-pandemic, and I continue to find new donors for pledge drive meals, as well as for underwriting and other forms of support as well. I also continue to perform the many office management and financial management duties that keep the business of WORT running smoothly. It's been an absolute pleasure the past year. It's been really great to see the return of personnel reviews. I think they were helpful in a lot of ways. And it's really great looking forward to going into our 50th year with everyone in such a positive and rejuvenated sense of togetherness that really make this station special. So it's an honor and a privilege to work here. I want to thank Stu and the board. I also represent the staff on the board. And it's really been a pleasure working with you all on that level as well. So thank you for your service, because I think it's one of the most maybe thankless jobs at WORT is to become a board member in some ways. But just know that your work is appreciated. That's about all I got.
Thank you. And on behalf of the board, I want to say back at you, Doug, you have been a really excellent staff representative. That's another great thing about WORT, that we have a staff representative on the board. Now, the board doesn't get to go to the staff collective meetings except on special occasions, but that's another matter. But it is, Doug, you've really done an excellent job representing the staff on the board and being a liaison between us. And I thought that last meeting at which we resolved all the bylaws amendments was one of the highlights of this past year and really put us in good shape for going into the future. So thank you for your service, both as business development director, but also as the staff representative on the board. We appreciate all that you and the rest of the collective have done.
Yeah, I have to say that meeting was one of the highlights of my professional career in its entirety. That meeting was really special.
It was a good meeting. It was a good meeting. Are there any questions of Doug on his report or anything else? We have, I'm not sure. I know Susan submitted a report for the in the folder. I see we've got Susan and Adrian and Sybil, and I thought Shali was on a moment ago. Oh, Shali is here in person. Wow.
Didn't know you could do that on Zoom, did you?
Yeah, wow. How many realities can I deal with at once? 4, okay. Do any of the other staff want to make staff reports, or does anybody have questions of any of the other staff about their activities? I'm not sure what the expectation.
I think we're all
was.
reading our.
Okay.
We decided that instead of having one person read.
Oh, that's
all of
fine.
them,
That's fine. That's
it
great.
seems silly to us.
Okay.
we
Okay.
should read
So,
our own words.
so do you have an order? Or just want to? How do you want to proceed?
I'll go.
Okay.
Should I get up there?
Yeah. Because wherever you're comfortable from.
Next time we do this, we should orient the screen in the front of the room.
I'd say from that perspective, you really can't see anything.
Sure. I'll go stand.
Okay. Great. And
Having a camera.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah. We need like
computer
4
Oh, yeah.
cameras.
If we're gonna do more of this, we need to get it.
multiple cameras,
yeah.
yeah.
But
Okay.
the audio is working. Like
Yeah.
people can hear, and I
Yeah.
can hear
We
them.
can do it all with artificial
Yeah.
intelligence.
This year has been. I'm Aaron Scholes. I'm the digital production director. I record all the promos. I do whatever anybody wants. This year has been the busiest and most intense year in my ever-changing job. I'm the newest full-time employee. I've worked here part-time for 9 years. I've been here for 9 years, so I'm technically the newest employee. I assisted Tom Jones in the setup of our 2 new Telos broadcast boards. This is a major undertaking in learning new technologies and creating strategies and working closely with the engineering committee. Removed and replaced our entire broadcast system in 2 combo studios. This work is not done, but this is a big, huge push in the future for the station and for our technologies. I continued refining our live audio production systems. We purchased a brand new multi-track interface and inherited a large bounty of audio gear from a local venue. We, referring to myself and my fellow engineers, recorded over 25 bands during their live performances. We also saw 2 public releases of recorded sessions done here in this room, the band The Periodicals and the band Astro. WORT is now a state-of-the-art live broadcast and recording studio space, and I plan to continue developing this area and all this tech as a professional and community resource. I helped launch the archiving project that is currently being headed by Doug Ranney, where we're taking all the old tapes. Doug's taking all the old tapes home and digitizing them, and we're going to try to gather that stuff together for 50th. I'm at the helm of the 50th birthday work group, creating strategies for making 2025 a year-long celebration in anticipation of WORT's 50th birthday on December 1st, 2025. This is a challenging and somewhat terrifying but exciting leadership position. And I am grateful to my fellow collective members for their support in making WORT work, and most importantly to our volunteers, who are the real reason why we are on the air. Questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, hello, everyone. It's good to see the Vinyl Library actually have people in it. My name is Shali Pittman. I'm the News and Talk Director at WORT. Our department has seen some fabulous growth and experimentation with new projects in the last year. Because we like facts, I have some statistics for you. We've recruited and onboarded upwards of 50 new volunteers in the last year from this time, 2023. That includes reporters, board operators, hosts, feature collaborators. The number of unique web users reading our stories has exceeded 222,000 over the last calendar year. Pretty incredible. This spring, as Stu alluded, the news department won 9 awards from 2 statewide professional journalism competitions. The past year has also come with a lot of staff changes. Former news producer Nate Wegehout moved on to a new role in commercial radio last September. In his place, we hired Faye Parks, a WORT reporter for both the local news and Her Turn. So that's one staff change. Also last fall, we had our first fellow from a UW Humanities funded project. So our Community Access and Development Fellow came aboard. His name is Diego Alegria. He worked half-time over the last academic year, so he left in May, to develop the curriculum and logistics for our summer journalism collaborative, which you've also heard about so far. Just in case you're like, what is that again? This new initiative is a pilot project and intended to pay people from indeed marginalized groups to learn the basics of audio editing, recording, storytelling, and journalism. It launched in mid-June, just a couple weeks ago, and will continue through the end of August. We hope to take feedback on this project and run the program again in future years, although it might change based on the feedback that we receive. I want to be very clear, as you heard from the treasurer's report, the program is not funded through traditional WORT channels. Instead, it uses reserved funding from major donors, plus grants from the EVU Foundation and the Lily Street Co-op Community Reinvestment Fund. I really want to thank Susan and her Carol Cohen for their assistance in writing those grants, and also Diego and myself. So it's been a lot of grant writing. WORT producer Jade Isiri Ramos is managing the Summer Journalism Collaborative. She's managing the logistics and the pedagogy of the program. She's also a WORT staffer, so she's on hiatus from her regular job at WORT as our talk producer, and the very capable Sarah Gabler is filling in as talk producer this summer. So I told you, Staffing changes. Later this summer, we will again welcome a humanities fellow. They don't always run the same program twice with the same organization, but we're lucky enough to be an exception to that. So Carlos Zavalos Barbarosa will join WORT in August as our Spanish language programming connector, as we seek to expand access and institutional support for Spanish language news and talk programming. I think that is an area of some real potential and growth for WORT, not just on our current Spanish speaking language programs, but also on English speaking programs and in reporting in general. So I'm very excited to see what he's going to do and what changes. Other programs too have gotten on their feet after the pandemic. I'm pleased to say that we've added a lot of programmers to some collectively based shows like Query and the Perpetual Notion Machine. Hmong Radio continues on a reboot of the program. Meanwhile, we've embarked on some upgrades, including, as alluded to, new soundboards in both combo studios. For us, it's the first in a series of changes toward an eventual move to adding video streaming, other things to be explored perhaps in a 50th task force on the future. You might have noticed by recent events, it's an election year. We have continued to provide high quality coverage of local and state elections, which frequently do not receive as much coverage as maybe national federal elections. Don't forget to vote. There's not just today, but in August, there's a lengthy primary on August 13th. And by that time, we'll have interviewed all the candidates on the ballot for that, and even things that aren't candidates like constitutional amendments, we'll have covered that. So we publish an election guide every year. And I think if you look at the analytics, it's one of the strongest pieces of journalism that WORT provides every season. So
absentee ballots have already gone out for that election.
right. And we try to do it early, but you can't do it too early or no one cares.
Right.
So we're trying our best. It's also a presidential election year, and the Republican National Convention is coming to Milwaukee in just about 2 weeks. WORT will be there. We'll be producing a live broadcast in partnership with the Pacifica Network, which is a network of community radio stations that we are a affiliate, but not a member of, if that makes sense. It's in partnership with Pacifica and with River West Radio in Milwaukee, which is a music community radio station, but does not have a formal news presence on air. We'll also be experimenting while we're there with live blogging software on the WORT website, another new opportunity to explore. And given recent events, we're now looking at attending the DNC in Chicago in August. Thought it might be a sleepy affair, maybe it won't be. So there we go. And that's been a lot of behind the scenes logistics. At our last annual meeting, we mourned the passing of Labor Radio co-founder and co-executive director Ellen LaLuzerne. And this meeting, in the beginning of this meeting and also now, we mourn the passing of Frank Emsbach, who passed away earlier this month from a battle with cancer. Frank was a really vital presence and organizer, as you know, in the worker movement in Madison and in Wisconsin and nationally. He saw the potential to build journalism that served working people and not corporations. He realized that through Labor Radio and through Workers Independent News, and countless journalists and organizers and working people, all of us in this room, owe Frank a great deal, and so we miss him dearly. His memorial is indeed tomorrow at the Old Brook Botanical Garden, starting at 4 p.m. Frank always said to take it easy, which is a good way to end. I remain always happy to answer questions and open to new ideas and initiatives as WORT continues to grow. I'm so grateful to be in collaboration with so many people at WORT and also with other media partners in Madison, where local journalism really does have to stick together and work collaboratively, and we are always seeking solutions. Thank you very much.
And just get rid of these edges on the carpet so nobody else trips.
Thank you, Charlie.
I might as well.
Tom Jones.
We'll get rid of all them.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Tom Jones, the Tech and Facilities Director. You heard about these soundboards? Somebody put them in.
Well done,
Unanswered.
Bravo.
I'll start out by saying
John Miner.
none of this could have been done without the engineering committee. I've got kind of at my disposal. Arguably the largest and most vibrant engineering committee for any community radio station in the nation. And that's been told to me by various people, so totally on their debt for a lot of stuff. But it's been a milestone sort of year with completion of several large scale projects. Soundboards were a big one, a huge one. We've been planning this for 2 or 3 years now. 2/3 of it is done. Section back in the room right behind us, a lot of wiring that still has to get ripped out, and hopefully we'll stay on the air during that process. And then it will be completely done, and then we'll be all digital, be all, not all of that old stuff that was put in, some in the 80s when this building was first pressed in service. So it'll be good. And I completely lost my place. The basement has been largely cleared out of a lot of stuff that had been kept again since like the 80s. I literally, the e-recycling place I work with has weighed stuff we've taken out of here, and it's been over 3 tons of stuff that's been hauled out of this building and properly recycled. File 13, shout out to them because they are very, very, very meticulous how they recycle stuff. And we carved this phenomenal place for the Journalism Collaborative. It's probably the nicest place in the whole building right now, actually. So other things we've done is new Active Directory servers. Active Directory is what controls our network. The ones we had in place were put in like 2012. So they had long past their prime, and so those got ripped out. We redid that whole infrastructure. Streaming abilities have been fine-tuned so that it finally all kind of works. If you have Alexa and you say, Alexa, play listener-sponsored community radio, she'll play WORT, which is kind of cool. And it actually functions as opposed to we had some breakdown. Stu was suffering from that for a long time where it just would not connect. We've had some large-scale electrical changes in the building. Hill Electric came in and not only rearranged things in the back and some additional outlets, but also gave us pretty much a surge suppression system which protects our new audio over IP equipment in the combos, which makes me feel a little safer. All the computers have been updated in the newsroom and various other places because Windows 10 goes away next year. So we still have some to go, but we've had some success and finally upgraded some of the systems.
Oh,
Slow. So there's a lot more to do. There's always a lot more to do, but my plan is to replace everything that's been here for 5 years so I can leave and not have to worry about it ever again.
Tom, are there large building facility maintenance expenditures that we're looking at over the next couple of years?
Yes, there are, and I purposely left that in the report. But yeah, the rooftop membrane has issues someplace. We have a leak in the elevator shaft when it really rains, like something we've been having lately, and the wind blows. It gets in somewhere. I haven't been able to find where it actually gets in, but water makes its own level. So we've got to replace that at some point because it's 20, 25 years old, the membrane that's up there now. It's a huge undertaking, especially with the satellite dish sitting on the rooftop. We got to figure out how we're going to deal with that. Pick it up, cut around it. There's some logistics to that. Windows need to be replaced. The ones basement windows, some have been kicked in. The frames are rusted. And the windows upstairs, the one that's by the coffee pot maker, has some rotten wood in it. So that one definitely needs to be replaced. But if we replace that one, we should probably replace the other 2 on this level. So just for appearance's sake.
What's the status of the elevator? It works.
It functions, but we can't replace the elevator. But at some point, we're gonna have to replace the packing that goes around the piston because that locks up and holds the elevator at the top. And sometimes no amount of jumping on the elevator will kick it loose. And I have to get Skip from Choice Elevators to come in, who's the only elevator company in the area that's willing to work with us on our ancient piece of equipment. Everyone else has ghosted me. But Skip is great. But that's gonna be a $12,000 project thereabouts to hold the elevator up in place so that they can safely get underneath and pull that thing apart and place it. And it's pretty much, excuse me, it's pretty much horsehair that is packed in there to keep the hydraulic oil from leaking all over the place.
Oh my God.
So I don't know if they make anything like that anymore, so it's gonna be kind of a manual thing. But right now it's everything building wise is working. But every morning I come in scared to death as to what's gonna break. So yes, to answer your question, yes, it'll be reflected in next year's budget. And hopefully we can maintain it.
Any other questions of Tom?
I think Phil, oh, no, we're good.
Okay. Thank you.
Good.
Okay, we've got Sybil, why don't you go?
Great, thank you. I'm Sybil, the music director for a long time now here. And the music department, as every year, is seeing exciting changes again this year. We have new shows and DJs, expansion and improvement of live remotes and in-studio performances, technical upgrades in other areas. So new show hosts include Alba and Froilan in Los Madrugadores, Julie McCanley from Her Infinite Variety and Alternate Tuesday Rock now, and also a candidate for the board this year. Danielle Borkenruder, aka Danny, for Her Infinite Variety. Alex Navas, Alternate Tuesday Rock. Robert Monthi, First Fridays Local Music Show, Mad City Music Classics. And sub-hosts, Andrew Thomas, assistant to Ford Blackwell, and sub for World Music. Also Marcel Colbert with Latin and World Music, and Arno Gonzalez, World and Jazz Music subs. I'm sorry if I missed anyone who was a new volunteer. We've had a lot. We increased the number of new DJs under the age of 20 and 30, as well as onboarding more women, people of color, and LGBTQIA hosts. And new programs and hosts include Nighttime Rock with Shannon and Frog Moon, Alex and Fuzzy Lifting Drink, and the Mad City Classics. And we welcome back former Universal Soul Explosion DJ Delirious to Soul Sessions. We had to say goodbye to Shinkin' Boots, Ted Nearing of the Wilson Brothers, Cooper Talbot, Ann Olson from Musica Antigua, and Dave 3000, Late Night Rock. And classical host Paul Baker will be leaving us in early September. New events, projects, and involvement include the upcoming La Fête de Marquette WRT DJ tent, the inaugural DJ tent. It's Sunday, July 14th from noon to 7 p.m. And I've asked a number of our DJs to, they'd like to do a set there at La Fête de Marquette. It's there instead of a stage, so we have all the attention on that end of the park. And then looking at also, because we have a lot of writing and music writing that we need to do for the website, we want to have music journalism as well, and so we can have a big push on social media and have regular features on new and current volunteers and our upcoming and just past program specials, and get our live music and interviews packaged and posted online. And right now I'm helping to work to finish the volunteer handbook, rolling out the volunteer website so we would have better communication and training with volunteers. We continue to digitize CDs and looking at repurposing that room by making a lot more room in there, space in there for meetings and other work in the music department. We want to promote all genres that we have here more on social media and in real life out in the community, and our excellent classical and jazz and international folk, blues, avant-garde, hip-hop, and rock programming continues to enrich our community, and it's key to Madison's vibrant arts scene. And I keep supporting, doing work to support other staff, including events with booking artists and tech staff with feedback and on equipment and training volunteers. pledge drive support for on-air fundraising, taking in off-air volunteers to get them involved in radio and the music business, and getting the station involved in new events, and supporting the news programming and the live remote broadcasts. And on a personal note, I faced a lot of challenges in the past year, and I want to thank all of the volunteers and all of you and my coworkers for their patience and support. We have a wonderful staff collective, and we all make a great team. Thanks.
Thank you, Sybil. Any questions of Sybil? Okay. Thanks very much. Susan? Susan, are you with us? There
I
we
am
go.
with us. Sorry, I was listening and I was just, never mind. Okay.
Okay.
I'm gonna try and shorten mine up a little ways. You can hear me okay?
Yeah, to tell folks who we are.
Donor Relations Director.
That would do it.
So I'm responsible for raising income from individual donors, working on grants as well. Just during I started working for WORT in September of 2014. And in that year, individual donations amounted to close to $430,000. 9 years later, individual donors hit $656,000. So that was a good increase to a already established nonprofit that was raising money for many years. In 2013, 74% of our income came from individual donors. 65% of that individual donor income came from pledge drives. So almost 50% of WORT's revenue was from pledge drives. In 2023, 75% of our income came from individual donors, 38% of individual donations came from pledge drives, and 28% of our total revenue came from pledge drives. So you can see that pledge drives used to be the biggest part of our fundraising, and they are no longer almost 50% of fundraising, which was something I really worked at since I got to WORT, because I felt like you don't want to have any one source of revenue dominate your fundraising. You don't want to get most of your revenue from just a few donors, and we don't. We get 3,200 to 3,400 donors every year. But now monthly donations make up 30%, and direct mail, card donations, grants, employer matching, IRA distributions, and money from major donors makes up the other 32%. The biggest increase has been in monthly donations, which has basically quadrupled since 2013. But in the last 2 years, we're seeing a plateau. In fact, in the last year, from June of last year to June of this year, we only saw a net increase of 48 monthly donors in a year. Well, we have 1,122 as of this past week, but we only got 48 new ones. There's a lot of reasons for the plateau. People quit their monthly donations because they've moved to a fixed income. They're moving out of state because they're retiring. Some of them have died, and some have switched their donations to IRA distributions instead, which are often better for them financially and with tax purposes. The positive trend of having an aging donor base is that we're seeing more increased donor distributions from IRAs. Those contributions averaged over $400 each in 2023, which made them the highest average dollar donations of any donation type. Donors can make qualified charitable distributions from their IRA starting at age 70 and a half. and they can use those qualified charitable distributions to meet the minimum required distributions that you must make from your IRAs when you reach 73. So many of our donors meet those age minimums or are getting close to them. I should probably put these in different order. Our retention rate, the donors, how we retain donors from year to year, is much higher than the national average. It was at the national average in 2014 when I started, which is at about 40 to 45%. The retention rate is, so our new donor retention rate, so a donor, say a donor gave for the first time last year, what percentage of them will give again the next year? The national average is 18%. WORT is now averaging 40%. The returner donor retention rate refers to donors who have given 2 years in a row. What is their chance of them giving? What percentage will give a third year? Nationally, that percentage is 58%. WORT averages 74%. The combined donor retention rate is nationally 40 to 45%. For WORT, it's 70%. Nationally, since there was a surge in 2020 and 2021 with the pandemic, since then, the retention rate has dropped nationally by 7% since then, but at WORT, it's increased by 5% during that same time. WORT's retention rate is rising partly because there's been a decline in new donors who have a lower retention rate. But all around, WORT is doing a better job at retaining donors compared to the national average period. So in comparison, our 2014 new donor retention rate was 21. The combined rate was 43. It has increased annually since 2014 to our current 70%. Donor retention rates do not have to do with, I shouldn't say they don't absolutely have to do with content, but when you're reading an article about the best practices and benchmarks for increasing donor retention rate, it's how well the donor, how well WORT makes donors feel about their donations, about whether they feel valued by WORT. So I think there were some things that we could have been doing better when I came here. And those were some easier things to solve, and it's made a difference. The new donor trend is the saddest of our metrics of the things that I measure regularly. The electronic records that I have access to date back to 2002. And new donors accounted for about a third of our annual donors every year from 2002 to 2012. But starting in 2013, that percentage began to drop, and that decline has continued to this day. The number of new donors for the past 12 months is 381. 11% of the total number of donors who gave during that time. Nationally, the average nonprofit sees 1/3 new donors every year. So even though they only retain 45% of them, 45% of their total donors, there's always new donors coming into that. And the better they do at retaining those new donors, the more revenue they see increasing. So having a declining base means that you're trying to get more and more money from fewer people. So despite the fact that we have a very impressive annual retention rate, over the past 3 to 4 years, we've actually lost more donors than we've gained. And those losses are accelerating as our new donors, each year we see less and less of them. I have something that just talks about beyond radio. I'll mention it really quickly. I think there are businesses that we can look to. One of them, since I was involved with it for 25 years before I became a fundraiser, is managing bookstores. So bookstores have an interest to me. There are some that have done an outstanding job of surviving in the shadow of Amazon. And I think they have lessons that are pertinent for WORT. One of the main ones is that they've become more of a community center than just a bookstore. And I think if you look at the Arts and Literature Laboratory, they've done something similar. So my future, the future that I see for WORT, that I will join in trying to be a part of this new committee or focus group or task group that has been mentioned, is that I think that we need to become an audio community center and look at ourselves beyond a radio station. Because I think that that is the way to see us become an even more integral part of our community. Any questions?
Yeah, Susan, thanks for that report. When you said how important it was, how the station made donors feel, and that we're doing a better job making the, what exactly you're referring to? How is it that we're making donors feel more appreciated, or whatever it is that you're referring to?
Well, when I got here, we were only sending thank you letters to donors who gave $75 or more. So that meant if you gave $50, you didn't receive a thank you. So that I immediately changed. New donors receive a handwritten note from me and also a telephone call, but that's generally brief because people don't really appreciate calls anymore. And it's just to say, you know, this is Susan from WORT, and we received your donation, and I want to thank you so much for joining the WORT family. I mean, those kind of things, Stu, you know, just much more during the past year. For several years, it's been my goal to make at least 5 phone calls to donors a day, where I just have a message that I leave with them that if they want to chat, I'm happy to chat with them, and that does happen. But I'm also just leaving messages saying, you know, thank you so much, and here's something you might not know about what your donation has made possible. So there's a lot more touches, as it's referred to, in fundraising, where you actually try and bring your donors in as partners and treat them as partners. So I'd say that's what's made a difference in the retention rate.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for Susan on her report, which is critical, and she has been alerting us for some time to the issue that she closed with about the need to expand what it is that we are and bring in a new generation of listenership and participation. And that's what I hope that task force, and I think that relates to some of the things that Aaron was talking about and something that Susan's talking about, to make us a multimodal entity, not just a transmission of audio over the air. So thank you, Susan, for your report. Adrian.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. So I'll just give my report real quick. So I'm Adrian Ranney. I'm the Volunteer and Outreach Coordinator. And volunteer recruitment remains steady with a noticeable trend of younger volunteers consistently applying for positions. Although I'm struggling to fill some positions, in other cases, finding a place for all the new volunteers has been a challenge, which is a good problem to have. My thought is, and again, we are a collective, we should all come to a consensus together. But my thought is, if we find a way to expand our programming, possibly by shortening some of our longer programs, we can offer more opportunities to interested volunteers. Outreach efforts remain consistent through recruitment fairs at nearby colleges, summer events, social media, and reintroducing the WORT open houses. However, now that I've entered my 4th summer event season, I am seeing diminishing returns on our current model for the outreach booth. Coupled with the increasingly noticeable changes to summer weather, specifically the temperatures and unpredictable storms, I plan on revamping our approach to summer events for 2025. This is in the very, very early stages, but some plans include creating a WORT street team to canvass events all over and outside of the Dane County area. I would also like to create a reoccurring event or possibly program. Just lost my place. At WORT during the summer for middle and high school students to participate in. My hope is that this can garner enough participants to continue throughout the year and have a rotation to different schools participating. I also still produce the Access Hour, which continues to be a helpful tool for my promotional exchanges, recruitment, and outreach to local organizations. And I have a quick side note from the archiving team that Erin mentioned earlier. They have been doing a great job going through the wealth of materials that we've had at the station, digitizing them, organizing them. But they are looking for any archiving materials, specifically program schedules. They have found everything we have at the station, but program schedules from 1975 to 1979, 1980 to 1988, and 1990 to 1995 are still like very sparse or in some cases non-existent. And if you do have any of those materials or someone who might, you can contact the archiving team at archiving@wortfm.org. And that's all I have for you today.
Any questions of Adrian on her report? Thank you very much, Adrian. And again, on behalf of the board, I want to convey to the membership just how good the board staff relations are right now. I would be less than candid if I didn't acknowledge that at times there has been some conflict. But the good news is that we worked through it, and you've heard allusions to to a recent board meeting at which we came to consensus on the bylaws amendments, which we're going to vote on in a moment. And I've been on the board 10, 12 years or so, and I have to say that this is the best that the station has been at programmatically, financially, just everything about the station right now is good to me. And there have been times in the past when there were board meetings that ended with unkind words shared amongst board members, and that's not happening anymore. And I just want to thank the staff and the staff collective and the part-time staff, the less than 40-hour, they're not part-time people, they're less than full-time staff members, whom the collective hires and supervises. You got a sense from those staff reports just what it takes to run a volunteer organization like this, a 24/7 radio station staffed largely by volunteers is an awesome undertaking. And the fact that we are here, that this is the 48th annual meeting of this corporation. I mean, think about that. 48th annual meeting of a listener-sponsored community radio station. And it is thanks again to the volunteers and the staff. And on behalf of the board, I thank you both. And now is the time to vote for the new board of directors. I think we have 3 candidates in the room. We have Dean Loomis, the incumbent, and let me make sure I got, and Jessica, and you look like Julia. Okay, so let us hear first from the, I guess the way it is on the website is the listener sponsor candidates. So going in order, we're going to hear from Jessica Lapointe and then Dean Lument. And I think, do we say 5 minutes? Is that what people were expecting to? Okay, so the floor is yours, and then if people have questions afterwards, we will proceed. So, Jessica Lapointe.
Are you gonna time me?
Well, not, we'll be relatively casual about it, but
Hopefully.
yeah.
You don't have to.
Okay, well, hi, everybody. Thank you so much for welcoming me here today. My name is Jessica Lapointe. My pronouns are she and her. And I am running as a listener sponsor on your board of directors because I think this is a really cool thing to be a part of. I have been a listener of WORT since the late 90s when I was a student at UW-Madison studying anthropology. I moved to Mexico for 5 years and then came back and finished my education in Spanish and creative writing. And shortly after that, joined the workforce, specifically the federal workforce as a Social Security worker. I worked out of the Madison, Wisconsin Social Security office for the last 15 years. Shortly into my professional career, I joined AFGE, American Federation of Government Employees, Local 1346. I have run the gamut of positions on that board. I was the secretary, executive vice president, and then currently sit as the vice president. 2 years ago, I ran for the National Council President of Social Security Workers and won that role. So I am currently also doing that. I'm very proud of my work. As the National Council President of Social Security Workers, we represent about 30,000 workers nationwide. I was on labor radio a few weeks ago talking about our issues at the Social Security Administration for funding. So I tell you all of that because I, in talking about Frank MSPAC and his legacy and labor radio and how important it is as a cornerstone of our community. As a board member, I hope to continue to see that thrive as a cornerstone of this community and how important it is for workers to have a voice and continue on the labor movement here. But then also hopefully with my role as a national council president of a labor union where I do negotiate contracts for Social Security workers. We've successfully been able to negotiate our collective bargaining agreement and its extension into the next 5 years and the uncertainty of the next election. Hopefully I can bring those talents to you all in how you work with IBEW and your collective bargaining agreements with them and just diplomatic relations with your staff. My style in bargaining is always a collaborative style. It's a win-win approach so that the workers feel like their working conditions continue to improve and they have a voice to be heard, but then also, the interests, the fiduciary interests of the station are also protected, but that everybody walks away feeling like they've won something and also probably have given up something as well in the name of cooperation and reciprocity. So that's a little bit about my collective bargaining style. What else? Not to talk too much more about me, but I have won some awards in labor. I won a Woman in Labor Award this last year, and then the Augusta Y. Thomas Legislative and Political Mobilization and Action Award. I'm very proud of those awards. I'm a community organizer and a mobilizer. And I just hope that if elected, I can bring some of that talent here. As you talk about legacy planning, we do that in the labor movement all the time. We have to pass the torch to the next generation and we have to figure out how to tap into that zeitgeist. We have to stay nimble and open to new ideas. And that is sort of who I am as a person. I am bilingual. I speak Spanish. I also have been playing capoeira for the last 25 years. I play capoeira with the Grupo Cantera Capoeira group here in Madison.
And diversity is something that I very much value within my own personal growth and my family, but in my community. So I just love WORT for that, what it brings to the community, the listeners, and the world in terms of all of the awards you've won in radio, but just the diversity that you bring to this community can't be found or mimicked or replicated. You are a cornerstone. You do have a legacy, and that torch deserves to be carried on to not only, shine bright now, but to the future generations that will take over this station. I often say in politics that these positions don't belong to individuals, but they belong to the members and the listeners and the community at large. So we just have to do right by them. And I hope to do that for you all.
Okay, thank you.
So, yes.
Any any questions of Jessica?
What is it you said you played?
Capoeira. It's a Brazilian folklore dance martial art style of culture born out of enslaved Brazilians and is a sort of a subculture of a thriving community all over the world.
I have a question, Susan.
Yes, Susan.
What experience do you have serving on a nonprofit board, if any?
Great question. Well, the labor union is a nonprofit board. So both my local 1346 and the council is a nonprofit board. As the council president, I have a lot of fiduciary responsibilities there, signing all of the checks and making sure we stay within budget and really understanding the vision of the members and how to carry that out financially and strategically. So that's a little bit of that experience. I did work for Nature's Bakery Cooperative as well in the early 2000s. That helped.
Any further questions? Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Dean Loomis.
Well, we have the unusual opportunity for the voters of WORT to have 5 really cool people running for this board. Often in the past, we've had to scramble to get someone to run for positions that were open, but this time around, we have 5 people that you can't go wrong with, which puts you in a really good opportunity to discern where you want to. You're not going to lose no matter who gets on here, so that's great. For those of us that don't make it, I would urge all of you to continue to be involved in what we're doing here. We have an extraordinary opportunity coming up by the creation of this task force that will begin to figure out how to not only to define, but how to build the organization that will take us into the future. I'm finishing my second 3-year term with a gap of about 6 years in between. First time I ran was right after participating in a very similar, more extensive task force about how WORT was going to go and what to do. And I got on the board after that was over to try to implement that document. It was an extensive 10-page document, longer than that, with certain categories. And I wanted to get on the board to make sure that the things that we came up with were implemented, because those of us that have been on boards and had strategic planning sessions, go through these extensive discussions. Sometimes they're professionally led, and you get this great document, and everyone reads it and say, "Boy, did that feel good?" And then you stick it on the shelf, and nothing happens. That happens way too often. So I wanted to get on that board. So I spent my first 3-year term implementing many of those decisions that we came to, but not all of them. Some of them that we have to revisiting and we're still experiencing. So with this opportunity coming up, this has been the result of a discussion over 2 years on the board to say, how are we going to address these things? And coming out of COVID, now we have an opportunity to gather people in person as opposed to doing this over Zoom, which I think is way more healthier. So I want to continue with those things. Now, I've had extensive experiences working for boards as an executive director, and then being on a board many nonprofits, including 6 years on the local school board here. So there's three things that the board members need to do. One is essentially develop and make sure a budget that is realistic and that you keep to it. So, and part of that is I've taken on responsibility of being a treasurer to make sure that that is fully explained, because a lot of people get on boards and don't understand that key responsibility of reviewing a financial statement, what it means, how to develop a board, a budget, and how to stick to it, and what happens when their problems come up, because they often do, they always will. Second one is to develop policies about how to implement the mission statement. Mission statement is very key to any nonprofit organizations, and policies have to match up with that. And that's where you decide where the money goes when you make your budget. Third one is, which is unique to WRT, is a board hires and supervises essentially an executive director, but we don't have that at WORT. But we have a collective model of administering and running the program. There is no one person that the board hires. There is a much more democratic hiring process, but board that has to sign off of. And then the other main responsibility of the board is supervising the staff. So how do you do that when you supervise an entire collective? We've had some problems there. The collective has not really trained, hasn't been trained and informed on how to exactly a collective is supposed to work. Sounds cool, doesn't it? But there's ways that collective use to develop decision-making processes. And then what happens if someone's not fulfilling their goals or not making it? Who steps in and says, hey, we need to have a discussion here. So for the first time in many years that anyone can really remember, a evaluation process was set up that I was part of through the personnel committee. We we all agreed upon a very healthy process of evaluating, coming up with an evaluation process in a system where that none of the board members are here extensively throughout the day, the work day, to really experience and will observe and work with staff when they're doing their job. I don't know this stuff. So how do you develop an evaluation process for that? Was key to it. We came up with a good one in collaboration with the collective, went back and forth, got a good one, filled it out, and we completed that process, which I was a part of. And I want to see that continue. So those are my edges. I think having this type of experience and wanting to see this through another term is something that I want to do. Without that, I'm going to badger the staff here, if I lose, to get on this task force, because I want to see how we're going to implement and change WRT to grow and still be around 50 years from now, when most of us won't. So
questions for Dean? And actually, you don't have to badger staff. I'll be making those appointments. You just need to ask.
They all over you there.
Any questions for Dean? Okay, thank you. Julia. And do we have either of the other volunteer candidates online?
I don't see some.
Okay. I've lost my.
Hello.
Would you like it my morning, or
Maybe. I'm not sure if I'm gonna go to the full 5 minutes, but
do you think you want like 10 seconds, 15, 30?
why don't you?
That's what I'm good.
So hi everyone, my name is Julia McCanley. Some notes here on my phone. So my volunteer contributions to WORT include, as Sybil had mentioned, I am one of the rotating hosts of Her Infinite Variety, which is on right now still. Too bad that we can't listen in. I host the 4th Sunday of the month, and I'm also a new rock host, a new late night rock show host a couple times a month. So just going to kick that off here in a couple weeks. Very excited about that. So I started volunteering for WORT in November of last year, so I haven't been here super long, but I sought volunteership at WORT because I've been in the Madison area for about 7 years,
and really wanted to start digging in and getting to know the community better than I had. And in listening to WORT, I knew that this is a community of very passionate folks here, specifically about music. Music matters to me more than almost anything. And I really saw there's a lot of that here as well at WORT. So I wanted to get to know more people who are excited about music and local music as well. I have so many ideas for WORT, I really do. As soon as I started volunteering here, I walked in and just saw so much opportunity and so many things. Us even being in the vinyl room here is very exciting for me. There aren't enough people in here than there should be, it feels like. And I think there's so much we could do even just with the extensive catalog here that we have. So just everywhere, there's opportunity everywhere. I love to hear about the task force that we have regarding exploration into digitization and the like. In my career, I am involved in technical content creation and digital marketing. And in what I do in my career and then here, those have been able to inform each other, and that's been just wonderful. So I'd love to take the skills that I have and that I've grown in my career over here in a more formalized fashion and get to know the other folks that are passionate about that as well. Let's see. So I feel that our responsibility at WORT is to tell the story of Madison and the Madison area. And I think that I feel that we need to tell a story with more enthusiasm overall. Lots of folks here are have spoken of what it's like to have an aging audience and different ways that we can dig into other demographics, younger demographics, or just other demographics overall, maybe marginalized folks, how we can really get some listeners of those populations. And I have lots of ideas for that. I really want to know more about our social media involvement. I'd like to get to know our social media manager, if we have one, not sure if we do. And if not yet, Erin says no. And if not, then I'd like to see what that would be like. Maybe whether owning that type of responsibility or co-owning that with just like some more organization there. There's so much that we can do regarding social media. In being on the air, it's really important to me also to try and connect with listeners that are not only our established listening base, but also others that might be listening in for the first time that might be a little bit outside of our current base in things like mentioning where playlists are logged, the fact that they are online, the fact that folks can communicate with me and with other DJs digitally via texting, because that's really how we communicate nowadays. People don't like taking phone calls. We had some speak of that already, some talk of that already, and it's just really important to me to reiterate that live when we have someone, when we have that audience and someone's listening in there. Let's see here. Yeah, I'd like to know more about people management as well here in just whichever way makes
30
sense.
seconds.
30 seconds. I have a lot of experience as well in training and developing training programs. I think the training that we do here is excellent, though I think it could use more structure. And I would really love to take a look at that, both for new folks and then also existing staff. I think we need to help grow the talent that we have here. Need to really look into that a little bit more deeply and see how we can grow folks so that they are interested in being enthusiastic about our growth. So present state WORT and future state WORT.
Right.
So yeah, so thank you for listening today.
Any questions of Julia? Okay, thank you very
Yes,
much.
thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And just checking one more time, are either of the other two participating member candidates online? Okay, then, and that brings us, and as we're about to elect, vote for these three positions, I want to acknowledge Kai Brito and Rebecca Barber, thank you, Rebecca Barber, who are leaving the board after several years of fine service. So thank you to Kai and Rebecca
for their service. Now, I've gone away again. Okay, so now we've come to the matter of the bylaws amendments. I sent out to the vol announced list a lengthy discussion of what these amendments were. We've alluded to the meeting a couple of times. The amendments that are before you tonight, this afternoon, I believe are essentially editorial with some slight substantive changes. The important thing is that they are recommended unanimously by the board, but even more importantly, are also endorsed by the staff collective. And that to me was a very important matter. And I really do want to again express my appreciation to Doug and Susan and the rest of the staff for the really helpful and positive approach everyone took to resolving what could have been some conflict over how those amendments were presented to the membership. So thank you for that. Very, very quickly, the first proposal merely notes that since the staff representative on the board is determined by the staff and not through this election process, that the paragraph discussing terms of office doesn't apply to that position. The second proposal, currently the staff representative is not eligible to serve as an officer because of the obvious potential conflict over confidential information regarding personnel or other matters. This amendment would merely extend that. Since part-time staff are eligible to be elected to the board, this also extends that prohibition on serving as an officer to other employees or contractors who could use inside information for personal gain. The third proposal simply identifies the personnel committee as having the primary responsibility for conducting the collective bargaining negotiations with the staff. And in that regard, I was hoping I would be able to say that we had a tentative agreement for a successor contract. We are hours away from the contract expiring, but the most recent communication I have is that I'm hopeful we will be able to announce that in fairly short order. The fourth proposal is purely editorial, just adds the word actions. Or the fifth proposal is a editorial change regarding this being a newly constituted, not newly elected board. It just gets rid of some repetitive language. And the final proposal establishes that the board has the same 60-day submission requirement for bylaws amendments as voting members do, but if some unexpected proposal comes in, the board, in exercising its responsibility to the corporation, can propose a response to that proposal. As I say, I sent out a further discussion of this, and they've been on the website for some time. I'd be happy to answer any questions about the bylaws amendments, but then again, they are the unanimous recommendation of the board with the concurrence of the staff. And we submit those for your consideration. If there are no questions about that, go back to my agenda, and I think that now leaves us. So if there are no, that's the business up to the counting, up to the voting and the counting of the ballots. So if there's no further business, if anyone has any questions or comments or anything they'd like to ask me or any other member, well, let's identify board members who are here. I'm Stu Levitan, president, and let's have the rest of the board identify themselves.
Laura Good Connect, vice president.
I'm Dean Loomis, the treasurer.
It is participating member.
Anya Graham, participating member.
I'm Dan Grout-Merritt, the secretary.
I can't see the screen, so who do we have with any? Oh, Phil.
Phil Ryan, I'm a listener sponsor in West Virginia.
And Doug Holt, staff representative on the shores of Gitchigumi.
And I think I see Jeff Spitzer-Resnick.
Jeff Spitzer-Resnick, I guess participating member.
I don't have my glasses on. Is that it for, so we've got everyone but Kai and Rebecca? Okay, good turnout. So thank you all for being here. If anybody has any questions of any of the board members, now would be the time. If not, I'm going to suggest that we stand and the voting stays open until 3 o'clock, so we can't adjourn the meeting, but I'm going to suggest that we stand in recess so we don't have to just sit here and do nothing. We can, yes, Dean.
Someone just asked me to remind you, restate Frank's.
Oh, yeah, Frank's, the celebration of Frank M. Spack's life will be tomorrow, Monday, July 1st at Old Brick, probably in the EV room at Old Brick Gardens at 4 o'clock. Again, it is such an honor to this station that Frank was associated with us, and his memory is for a blessing. So if there are no further questions or comments or statements at this time.
Can I just ask, as far as people on Zoom, so are we keeping this link open? Are we coming back via the same link at 3:15? How do you want to handle that?
Well, I was gonna suggest we stand in recess until 2:45.
Oh,
Tom,
2:45.
question about the link.
You can keep it open or you can come back. It doesn't really
It'll
matter.
be
Okay.
this, it'll be the same link. You can close out and come back.
We'll stay open.
I mean, the link,
Got it.
it'll be the same link, but I'm going to suggest that I prepared a little, we're in recess card. So without any objection, we're going to stand in recess until 2:45. That'll get, in case something comes up, that'll give us 15 minutes before the end of voting, just to address that. And if not, we'll come back at 2:45 and then announce the vote totals, and then at 3:15 the new board will convene. And I know at least one person, there are at least two people in this room who are going to need to be here at 3:15.
Do we need a motion for recess or?
Without objection, without objection. By dictatorial nature. Without objection, we're going to stand in recess until
Anybody can stop it.
until 2:45. Okay. Thank you all very much. Right.
Hey,
Without objection.
Hey, Tom.
Yeah.
School and where are the other people going? Are there any others? That's it.
Oh, no, blank ones.
Oh,
Only filled out paper ballot with yours.
that's funny. Rocket. Well, yeah, it was amazing to see all those people.
Yeah. Yeah, to put Shabazz in Lakewood.
That's where I went to grade school.
So they okay. I mean, they put this alternative school
In Maple Bluff.
in Maple Bluff.
Yeah, barking. Yeah, I walked back in there and I'm like, this was my lock. Had the other part.
Yeah.
And they got along with us really great.
Yeah. It seems like there's some conflict at Longfellow.
Oh, yeah.
Because
Yeah, there was with city school.
So, yeah. Yeah,
It was I am so grateful to have been alive during that time and gone through that. And the music scene was just killer. Yeah.
So both of those newspapers spent time at 10 Langdon Street.
Mm-hmm.
Wait a second, when you said both those newspapers?
Takeover in Kaleidoscope.
Yeah.
Oh, and don't forget Student Voices.
Oh,
They-
yeah.
At that the students, Madison Students for Social Justice,
Yeah.
whose chair was Jonathan Lipp.
Yeah. Oh.
Jonathan Lipp was and Allison Steiner was the editor, and somebody's going on after them about their connection to SDS because they used because Connections printed how to use the same, the SDS is essentially printing student voices. And I asked Jonathan about this. He ran here, I just lied to me. Oh, no, we had no connection to SDS, Stu. No, no. I said, okay, Jonathan, thank you for that. I'll note that in the book.
So People's Office was also at 10 Langdon
Yeah,
Street.
Okay.
it was.
And that's where Danielle and I met.
Ah,
I was a photographer.
oh, were you?
For a very brief. time.
Which, with
Well,
Dave
until
Wagner?
I figured out that I couldn't make any money.
Okay. I mean, so, I mean,
It was so cool.
are you talking, like, are you talking late 60s Dave Wagner era?
No, it
Oh.
was later.
Okay.
It was like at the very end. Of
Okay. Okay.
You know, just
Um,
before takeover.
I really don't know how I'm gonna treat Takeover in the book. I mean, it's a really, I mean, Fellner pied Soglin at the groundbreaking of the Civic Center, right?
I know.
He pied, and they say, why'd you do it? He goes, oh, it should be self-evident. What kind of explanation is that? It should be self-evident.
Well, Felder was that way
So,
though.
yeah, oh, did I tell you? So after the 60s book came out,
Okay.
Fellner and especially Mate
Uh-huh.
were exiled me from the tribe when we were down in New Orleans for Jazz Fest one year, the year after the book came out.
Yeah.
I'd go and I'd sit down next to Kenny, he'd get up and walk away. And they threw me out of the group. And it's like, and they're such Stalinists, they wouldn't tell me why. It's
Oh,
like,
God.
oh, we had a secret trial, you were found guilty, goodbye.
Jeez. Is Mark Knopp still around?
I never knew Mark.
You didn't.
But John Mattis
Yeah.
brokered peace. Mattis brokered peace with Fellner, and Fellner got made to drop. It was the weirdest thing.
John Mattis is he is a good diplomat.
Oh, Mattis is great.
Who was Mark? That name is so
Mark
familiar.
Knops was the editor of Kaleidoscope, who went to jail for 6 months for refusing to testify before a grand jury about what he might have known about Army Man.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
Okay. So we did an anti-war teach-in at UW Parkside with Mark Knops.
Yeah.
And Father Grappi.
All right.
And
This is the old folks sitting around talking. It'll be a homage.
The 70s book is going to be great.
one of the Chicago
You'll have to
7
get
guys,
used to this on the
Abby
board.
Hoffman, Jerry
This is
Rubin.
Oh,
Wonderful. I'm excited.
What's the what?
We did an anti-war teach-in
Yeah.
at Parkside
With Reuben?
with Reuben
Okay.
and Mark Knops and Father Grappi.
And I met Jerry Rubin too. He came over to Humanity Tech.
I moderated the Reuben Hoffman debate.
He did?
Oh, wow.
I met Abby too. Jerry Rubin looked at me and goes, you have beautiful eyes. And I was like, yeah, you're
Yeah,
not.
Yeah. So Jerry comes in the suit, and Abby's in like this army jacket that hadn't been washed since Korea. You
Yeah.
know? It's like, oh, come on,
Straight
Ab.
from rags.
Huh? Yeah. The yippee debate.
Probably.
Back then, I had a scholarship of like $700 a semester, and my phone bill just the month before the teaching was like $250.
Yeah.
So we ate a lot of rice and pasta.
Yeah.
And Mark's mom and dad ran the dairy.
I never knew Knox.
He
Yeah.
was a good guy.
Yeah.
You were on the phone.
He's still around.
Yeah.
He worked
Oh,
a lot
wow.
with foster kids.
No.
You were one that had
Don't,
the phone,
don't,
remember that?
yeah,
Vaguely.
you were
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the first time I.
But
was
I think we
do that.
created a lot of the rules for hippie foster parents.
Somebody
That day,
posted
my kidney was ready to go. I
something
didn't actually go. I didn't get to
about
speak.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I had this.
our
kidney-
generation, you know,
Yeah,
it was
I just mentioned that. I
something that happened
remember.
in
Yeah,
the 70s. Said,
we went to
oh,
school
weren't we
with
the coolest
Yeah,
generation?
exactly.
Well, no,
Going back.
actually, the people who were like 8 to 10 years older than us were the coolest generation. You know, the people
And
who were
when
born
we
in
had
40 to
Bonnie Ray
45.
do a
Yeah, those are
fundraiser
the-
before
those are the
WORT
serious
started.
people.
They were
At the
very
Capitol
serious,
Theater.
but
Kitty was
I
doing that
was,
day
I
too,
left
so-
home when I was 14.
So
No.
So I
I
was
want to
on the
bring her back for
streets
the
during
50th,
all
just
that
so I can see
stuff.
her.
And,
Wow.
and so,
Great idea.
yeah.
Oh. No,
We actually lived on the streets.
No, I had a relatively privileged and pampered life. I did not leave home.
We'll have to talk some. We'll have to talk.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just,
Leaving home at 14, wow, that's hardcore.
and my parents wouldn't put an APB out on me if I called every day. So I had to find a phone booth and a
Yeah.
dime every day to call them and tell them I was okay, while everybody else was going out to Colorado and San
Yeah.
Francisco.
Yeah.
Wow.
So what year is this?
69,
Okay.
68.
That's me or
In
somebody else.
68, I was still going to summer camp.
How old are you?
I was born in 1953.
Oh, okay.
I'm-
I'm 55
Okay,
in 1955.
wait a minute. I'm older than you.
Yeah.
And you were on the street at 14.
Yeah.
Well, I was in summer camp.
Well, were you 17 and in summer camp?
I was in summer camp at 15.
Okay, so you weren't in summer camp when I was little.
Where and what streets?
Downtown.
Madison?
Yeah. Yeah. We'd stay up all night and sleep on the mall during the day and play guitars and we'd go when the soap opera was over in Lake Street Station.
Oh, iteration 1. Where Mattis and Darren Stucker got tear gassed out. But yes.
I've got some stories to tell you.
Yeah. Did you know Darren? Darren Stucker?
Probably.
Yeah, you probably did. Yeah, because he was tight with Mattis.
That looks good when it's on a big screen.
But I was there when Ralph Hansen got his finger
about
broken.
5'2"?
Yeah.
That one charge up the hill.
At which
It was, I think we had been at Dow and then we were going up the hill and they were tear gassing everybody.
okay, so this is you're talking Dow.
I think so.
Okay.
It was not the first Dow, but
Yeah.
the second one, it
Yeah,
was in
that-
October because
that-
we
you-
went
you
to
can-
Dow in a government car because we had a Vista worker at Freedom House.
Huh.
And they asked me what I wanted to do and I said, I want to do guerrilla street theater.
Yeah. So go see Commedia del Arte.
So
Yeah.
we went down there and did,
We got 5.
got out of the government car, did our little skit,
Yeah.
got back in the car, and then for the next 3 months, they tried to take the car away
Yeah,
from
of
us.
course.
So we would hide it in a garage and we would hide it everywhere.
That
You know
is-
Velma Bailey,
No.
Eric Gutstein, they were at,
Yeah.
but you know, is Leah Zeldin.
Yeah.
She's like the starter of Freedom House.
Another Seidman appointee.
Yeah.
You know who Paul Seidman put on the Police and Fire Commission? This is like the single most mind-blowing appointment I think he ever did. So, okay, Police and Fire Commission oversees the police, right? So he appoints a defense attorney to the Police and Fire Commission, which is ballsy in and of itself.
Yeah.
Take a guess whose defense attorney he appoints.
Carol Armstrong. Yeah.
He put Carl Armstrong's defense attorney on the Police and Fire Commission. And he put his wife on the Metropolitan Drug Commission. I love this. I gotta love. Puts Hank Haslick. Did you know Hank Haslick? He was the head of SDS. He puts Hank
I
Haslick.
did not know him.
Hank Haslick to chair the Board of Public Public Works, and he puts Michael Sack.
Michael Sack, I knew really
on the
well.
welfare board.
Yeah.
I mean,
Michael Sack was great.
people. I mean, the transfer, the immediate transfer of power from upper middle class white males to everybody else in like April 1973. It was just boom.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was.
It appoints Betty Latimer affirmative action officer.
Oh, she was great. Should we go 7?
Contractors hated her.
Waiting for Katie from Cab to show.
I'm here. I'm the one that's hogging the car.
Yeah.
Yeah, Madison's a good
Yes,
place
we
to be
should.
stuck.
You know, every once in a while, not so much anymore, but I used to, say, God, could I have gone to San Francisco and made it so that I could go to the Keystone every weekend and see Jerry play, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, the big city, you're doing okay, Mass, and stay with what you got, But every once in a while, it's like,
Have you ever tried to leave?
No.
I've tried twice
No.
and I've ended up back here, so I just went, it's a good place to be stuck.
No. Never. I mean, once I was back and forth to Washington for a year or two.
Uh-huh.
But when I
Go back to them.
No, this has been it for 50 years.
Hey, I'll do my biz. Good talking with you.
Good to see you.
Bringing the laptop. Gitchy goo me or gitchy goo
Gitchy Goomy.
me?
Yeah, so I'm up here in Michigan and it's
You need to
it's
listen to
chilly
that.
today. It's only 55 degrees. So I went and made some more coffee in Joanne's percolator, and I went into the cupboard to get a mug to drink my coffee and discovered this.
Ah,
Even
That
I
is-
recognize that from far away.
that is
So yeah,
amazing.
I'm drinking from an official WORT coffee mug. All right, I'm gonna go count votes now.
Okay,
Thank you.
Terms of the officers end today, so we just kind of have a meeting. Generally, what we do is reelect who's here and fill a spot if I'm not. Someone to take care of it. And then July, we then do a more fuller thing.
July, okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
This is just a temporary, and that's only order of business. So
And then-
after this votes, the who's ever on the board meets to just elect holdover
The temporary.
temporary or
Yeah.
for 1 month officers. And then in July, we have a fuller board
Yeah.
elections, because the terms end today.
Yeah.
At the annual meeting.
and I would be happy, I'm not officially anything anymore, but I'd be happy to show you how all the Google apps work and
Yeah.
and
Absolutely.
all that stuff.
Yeah,
So,
Dave, use Dave for any tech. Dave is eventually going to have some type of.
We just have to figure out,
Yeah,
we just have to
I think
finesse
an
it.
emeritus status is the one. that's
Emeritus,
been-
emeritus,
Emeritus.
emeritus, emeritus.
yeah,
That's the one
Arthritis is the
that
merits.
that makes sense.
It took me about 6 months.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, he's a founding member
Yeah.
of the station, whatever you want to know, yeah. Still
Yeah.
gotta go to.
Well, if
I've
you
got,
orient them out.
yeah, that's one thing that we need to do a better job. Board orientation is something we need to do a better job.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, for a lot of things.
And,
Yeah,
and I think Shali has been offering some suggestions on putting together something, and Tanya put together that really nice easy identification thing.
Names and faces
At
don't
the
fit
last,
for me,
the
so
last
you don't
time
know.
we did this, maybe 10 or more years ago, when we did full of a really extensive community station planning, a board orientation packet was put together.
Yeah.
And obviously
Yeah.
it's been dropped.
Yeah,
So we gotta pick that stuff back up.
yeah, no,
Well, and I started looking at it, but it's just so out of date. It's
Right.
impossible to-
And
Yeah,
stay
yeah.
with it. And
Yep. I've still got a paper copy of one at home, so,
yeah.
but again, it's way out of date. So,
Yeah, the Googlers wasn't doing the Googles.
yeah, right.
Okay.
and
I've
right.
got a feeling you're probably more adept at
Yeah,
some of this stuff than,
yeah, I'm over here like, can I take a look at that? Where?
yeah.
where is it?
Yeah.
We actually, during that time, we hired,
1 year consultant we had a staff who put together that whole thing, and then we hired a person to help us implement that thing, the things that we were trying to, that we came up with.
Yeah.
So
and we
that
had a
it wouldn't
separate
just
board of
be in the
directors
budget.
website, which,
Yeah.
We don't need that.
Google in their wisdom has, gotten rid of that particular form of website, so that site's gone, but
Yeah.
all it was links into Google Docs, so it so what I started doing when I would put the agendas together, and I would put hot links to like the staff reports, so that you just had to look at the agenda and find the staff reports. That was sort of what that website did, but it also did bylaws and policies. Now, our website has all of our bylaws and policies, so, but I guess orientation is important to say, actually, we do have policies and bylaws, and you can find them here, and so, yeah.
I'm an HR person in paid life, and so that's where I'm.
Yeah.
I can tell a lot.
And you can tell that our policies have been amended and changed, and many of them were written before the internet existed.
And
But-
they don't really convey the spirit of the organization the way that I would.
Hello. Just hello.
Yes.
Yeah, I think, so I'm curious about just what next steps are and expectations when it's time to chat on that. 'Cause I don't-
We will schedule an orientation. Well, do you want, how do you want to, do you want to? We'll talk about,
Yeah.
yeah,
Let's talk about the board meeting.
yeah,
Set up the
yeah.
process.
In July.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, we'll,
And I think, in the meantime, think about how you would like it to be, and that we'll probably just say, yeah.
yeah,
There's a significant amount of resistance from the staff when you want to change what they do, because the history of the station is that when we did the long-range planning process, we added one staff person, and budgetarily, we didn't make the income to pay for that position, so we had to go through a painful reduction of staff and reassignment of duties. And so staff are really territorial about their duties.
This
And
is true.
so we have to be very diplomatic, and in some cases, it's actually sort of union management type of discussions about how to change things and make them better. So
that's the other odd thing, is we have a staff collective with a union and no manager, which historically has presented certain supervisory challenges.
With no manager.
With no
yeah,
manager.
especially.
And the staff is very, we had a very bad experience with the general manager several years ago, and literally, we're not allowed to say that person's name. I mean, that was just, it's like, she who cannot be named. I mean, that's how bad it got.
There was a legal separation,
Yeah.
that was part of the
Yeah,
deal.
I'm not kidding. It was like, yeah.
She's dead, so I don't think that matters anymore.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I think that's off then. Anyway, you wouldn't want to know that anyway.
Limitations. Run it.
So. Right now, things are on a relatively even keel. Where the issue of the continuation of the collective has been a matter of interest in the last two rounds of collective bargaining. Since we are not in a closed session, I won't say anything more. Right now, board staff relations, I think, are about the best they've been in a while. You know, when I was, 10 years or so ago, we had board meetings that literally ended, fuck you, no, fuck you. I mean,
wow.
oh no, it was like horrendous, like horrible. And somehow, well, we were facing existential crises. I mean,
Yeah.
it was like, oh God,
And budget wise, we were really close to the edge.
that, that's what I mean. I mean, it was like, are we gonna make it?
Right.
And as someone once observed, when there's too much of nothing, it makes a fella mean. And we got through that. And whether it was Susan, I mean, that was about the time that Susan started. I don't remember hiring Susan, so I'm not sure if.
I do, yeah.
Yeah, was I on the board then? I mean,
Yeah, you were.
was I? Okay.
You sure? She was here when I was on the board. And he
Yeah.
wasn't.
She was hired in September 24th.
I've been on the board at least 10 years.
Yeah. I don't
Yeah,
remember
think
back
you're
then,
right after that.
You might not have been
You
on the
weren't on the
personnel
board when
committee.
she was working here. So I
Okay,
was.
okay.
or on the hiring committee, yeah.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I think I had just gotten on the board and Susan was already here. So,
But somehow, I mean, well, to be honest, COVID did us real well. I
Of
mean,
course.
we did real well by COVID money.
Mm-hmm. So we got a PPP loan for almost 100,000, and then that was forgiven, which was pretty routine if you applied for it. And then the Corporation for Public Broadcasting got a huge grant from the government, and has to have along with all their member stations. So we got a big chunk from that. And we got a smaller chunk from the state of Wisconsin to upgrade our HVAC so that we'd filter more of the crap out of the air.
Right.
Because back then, COVID was much more of a mystery than it is now. So,
Oh, yeah.
so we have.
We were spraying our groceries.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, the room we were sitting in, I don't know if you know, have you ever looked at the sign by the door?
Which side?
The
No beer beyond the.
No, the Bassett Neighborhood Association block grant. The Community Development Block Grant, which was a program started by Richard Nixon, gave us. I remember, I wrote the grant for this and the Mifflin Co-op weatherization and home equipment, and Richard Nixon's block grant program paid for them both.
That's awesome. That was a good ramp.
It was a real good ramp, and this is a good room. And the fact that Aaron has now got it, put to its highest best use is a good thing. In terms of the money, we are down from our financial high, and we're up from our financial low. We're about 200,000 under our absolute highest cash balance. We're about 140,000 above our lowest cash balance. And in terms of more recent numbers, we are 60,000 less than we were exactly a year ago. We're 40,000 better than we were 10 months ago. So, I regard that as, holding steady,
Well, that one of the reasons is we had the boards cost.
Oh, yeah, those.
Right.
And that's a big chunk, but
More
it
than
was a
we expected,
perfect
more
time
than
to
we
pay for it
budgeted.
when we were up.
Yeah.
Pay for those boards, which launches us into
Yeah.
the future.
Yeah.
So that was a great expense.
But they did come in higher than budget.
Yeah, then there were.
Before that, there was a period where we had to part ways with our engineer, and I became the temporary engineer, and I replaced a number, like 5 different air conditioners within a period of like 5 months, and the staff was just furious with me for spending all this money that wasn't budgeted.
Wait a minute. We're getting emergency calls. We need to replace the air conditioner. How can they not have been in favor of that?
Which I'm gonna make a proposal about.
Yeah.
So, well, I don't know if Tom's received those.
If I'm not, even if I'm not, I'm gonna.
Yeah.
I have an idea about how to pay this.
There's money in the bank account. If the board approves it, it can be spent.
Yeah.
And
Right.
it's one of those things that
But there are other.
it's like
options.
lightning. You can't plan ahead for an air conditioner
Yeah.
breaking. When it breaks, it breaks.
Yeah.
One of the other board members, when one of the air conditioners broke, one of the board members said, "Was it sabotage?" And I said, "It's like 28 years old, and
Yeah.
they have a useful life
It's
of
a
20 years."
nonprofit
So
He says we have to cool certain of our systems, not just for general
Right,
comfort.
yeah.
The systems have to be air conditioned. So these are the things, and if we don't do that, then they break down.
yeah,
So
Yeah.
then we're off the air.
Yep.
and I put in a special thermostat for the studios. All 5 studios are on one air conditioner. There are 5 thermostats like that one, but they all control one air conditioner. So if one of them is down to 60 and all of them are up to 80, the rest of them are up to 80, you get 60. We know the lowest ones are the highest one wins, depending. Well, actually, we don't ever heat because all this equipment generates enough heat to heat the building without
Is
any.
that
So it's a savings.
Yeah, that's right. At the transmitter, we have free
The
electricity.
heater's on, but the rest,
Pretty
it
low,
doesn't kick
yeah.
it in because the
Well,
heat
actually,
generated by the building.
We took the heating element out. There used to be duct heaters, and we took them out because there was no point in keeping them in the ducts. We never used them. So now I was afraid when we went to audio over IP that we wouldn't generate enough heat, but I forgot everything has a computer now. So we got all, a whole bunch more computers than this building was ever designed for. And also in terms of the electric supply, more than there are outlets. So when we changed out those 2 studios, there were power strips on power strips on power strips that were all, you know, what, 40 years old. That were just, it was time to replace them. They were a few dollars back in the 80s. And before we had computers everywhere in the 80s, you know, so it's just so amazing now to, the hosts of the shows can't tell, the magic happens beyond the board. The board works very similar to the way the old boards worked. You know, push the button and there's a fader, and that's the way the old board worked. So, but behind the scenes, it's all different. So we had, you know, those post office mail bins. We had like 6 of them, each studio full of wires that we cut out that we didn't need anymore. So it's just amazing. And the new wires are all above the ceiling here, so we don't even see them. It's pretty cool.
Trip on them.
Yeah. And we don't have all these wires dangling along the baseboards, and it's so mind blowing to have a more professional looking station. It gives everybody a feeling about what we do. So
Over the years, there have been various proposals that I don't think really ever rose to actual, let's do this, to do something, to be someplace else, to buy the property next door, tear it down, build something, have a this, that, and that. And
Yep.
we don't have the skill set or the bandwidth. I think we're here for the duration. I know you're interested in still pursuing that, but I think we're here for, I mean, we've put too much into this building.
It's a little of my expertise in acquiring properties and fixing them up, but
Yeah.
so it's a possibility that maybe we could do. And I like talking about it. Doesn't mean we're gonna do it, but it should be in the conversation.
but the audio over IP stuff is so much easier. If we had to build a temporary studio somewhere else while we rebuilt here, it's a lot more practical. Tom would kill me, but
Yeah. Okay.
I will quit.
after he
But
killed
we'd
me.
have to get the help. We have to get the professional help to make it work
Mhm.
without running Tom into
Yeah.
making him more crazier than he already is.
Yeah, but
Yes.
it's surprisingly
good way.
easy now with this audio over IP stuff. It was amazing how fast it went together. I was so impressed.
Yeah, I'd like to see collaborative spaces here. And well, that probably means having an additional set of some.
Mhm. Well, the idea of expanding what we're offering here into more of a multimedia center or the type of thing we're talking about, then you can't just say that and then you start doing it and then not align the physical space to do it.
Right.
So if we have performing spaces and stuff that's video online stuff, that's going to be a whole lot of interesting things that we'd be able to do. And I think a way to attract more funders. So that's where we got to go.
Like NPR Tiny Desk? Do you invite people in?
Yeah, yeah.
In your see concerts from the vinyl library.
This is the space. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was wondering that.
Yeah.
Are those streamed?
Yes.
Are they streamed? Wondering how I missed those streams.
Well,
Well,
I
we just got out of COVID, so we haven't done a lot.
Right, yeah.
We've done
video stream, I mean.
3 that weren't streamed, but 2 people recorded their bands in here for release.
Oh,
And Rain Stern did a recording here that was an NPR Tiny Desk concert. So
That we just had a movie made. Someone made a movie 2 months ago.
Yeah. Students from UW.
I don't know what to tell you on counting votes. We haven't seen the people come out of the room yet. The smoke hasn't come out of the
Yeah.
chimney yet.
It's gonna be that much longer.
When I did a lot of self-employed consulting, I used QuickBooks. Now, it was back in the olden days, so.
Yeah, I haven't used it for 10 years, but I did use it consistently for about 10.
And it's pretty flexible, although sometimes it can be very frustrating. some things aren't flexible.
And everything moved to online now.
Yeah,
too. And
yeah.
I've have friends of mine that have businesses and they've been calling the tech support something, 2-3 times a week sometimes because it stops.
Yeah.
No.
But
So
so
we
there's
have-
been transition issues into that.
We have a single server in-house version. It's not an online version. We use Summit Credit Union as our main credit union. And the way they do their treasury management stuff for businesses, they actually use an outside vendor. And the login process requires 3 entries, not just a username and password. So it breaks most password managers.
Sure.
And it also breaks the ability of QuickBooks Online to check with Summit Credit Union for business accounts.
So it doesn't.
So that's why we had to use the enterprise edition of QuickBooks because of Summit Credit Union.
And that's the new problem I'm running into, for getting in to do reconciliations. I can't get in on the system that they set up for me to get in, so I gotta get him and then I gotta get someone else and I
Yeah.
got someone to get me in QuickBooks and it's just a mess.
Yeah, you have to license for every user that logs in. So there's a whole, we also have accounts at Heartland Credit Union. We used to use Heartland before we used Summit. And there was a treasurer a few years ago who made a big mistake and switched us from Heartland to Summit because that person thought it was a better deal. But they weren't looking big picture because at that point, Heartland was buying underwriting from WORT and stopped buying underwriting. So it was oops. So you got to look big picture and changes are hard. So Summit has gotten better. The person who's the head of their business banking division changed and is more responsive when you call.
And I've got more time now to
Yeah.
sit with these guys and figure it out. I was working up in Texas. Now
We-
I can just.
So for our automatic monthly donations, we go through Summit Credit Union and their automated clearinghouse type transactions. And so you prepare a file of thousands of transactions. And if there's one error, then yeah.
I do direct deposits where
And their subcontractor has messed up 3 times on us and sent the file through twice. And so they've charged people twice in
Oh
the
my
same
gosh.
month.
That's a nightmare.
And so then we have to prepare a back it out file, which does, we give it all back. And so those have been angst producing days.
yeah, and especially because almost everybody doing that work is
Yeah.
except Sue. Oh, and she has.
Mary Joy. Mary Joy is Doug's. Karen is Susan's.
Right.
So we do have a staff collective, but it's only the full-time people. The part-time people are not part of the collective and are not part of the union. So, which is an interesting.
Yeah, another kind of thing that makes you wonder a little bit.
The organization is not congruent. So, but change is hard, and especially when a union is involved, it involves negotiation. I've been involved with contract negotiations 3 times. I'm not involved in this one. And I remember the board wanting to raise pay and the staff saying, no, you can't raise pay because we can't raise that much in fundraising to pay ourselves. And the union representative said, my mind is exploding. Management wants to pay more on staff and workers say, no, please don't do that.
The workers are saying, just don't know how we can get there.
Are we done?
The door is still closed.
Okay.
Just to clarify though, we have raised pay for part-time staff.
Oh, yes, I'm not saying that at all.
Oh,
I'm not saying that at all. I
Yeah,
agree.
this was not recent. This was a while ago. Before you were here, I think. Was Charlie still here then?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
Shelley's been
yeah.
here a long time.
Okay. Well, that's,
She used to be on the board. She was a better secretary than I was.
I
Who's
have
on the
no doubt
board?
about that.
Yeah, she was on the board for 3 years. Yeah,
Was I on the board?
that was,
Oh my God, Stu, we were on the same committee.
yes.
It's all a blur.
What years was this?
Well, we should talk to a historian about that.
Somewhere around 2017.
Oh, I was writing the book. I wasn't paying attention to anything. I was writing the book.
You did what you had.
I have my hand raised, but I don't know if anyone can see it because I don't think it's being monitored right now. I did just want to throw out a reminder that the archiving team is looking to fill in the gaps of the program schedules. And it's not just that, but also like any WORT memorabilia, they're looking to document and digitally upload. So again, the email is archiving@wortfm.org. And specifically, we're looking for program schedules and newsletters too, which a lot of the older newsletters had program schedules from like the 70s, 80s, and early 90s. We have some, but it's pretty thin. And they're just trying to fill in all the gaps and get all the information they can from every show that's ever been on WORT.
Still looking for old back porch pilots?
Yeah, yeah.
Is Dave, do you know Dave Chandler?
No,
That name ring a bell?
no, sorry.
Yeah, he was the editor. And he may have, I can ask him if he's got any archive material.
That would be fantastic because they've done a really good job like tracking everything down, and the way that they're recording everything is pretty fascinating and thorough. So they just want to like make it as thorough as possible. So that'd be great. Yeah, if you could ask him or even just like connect us through email, that would be awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, he's on Facebook. David Chandler, he lives in, I was like New Hampshire. He's a retired minister out of New Hampshire. But I'll get an email for you. And
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
And we need to kick the book into high gear. I mean, that to me is a priority, along with a lot of other stuff. But, I think we need to hire a project manager for that specifically.
Well, if you're looking for any information, the archiving team has really done a lot of substantial work in the past like year and a half. So you can always email them too if you're just looking for information about a specific show or even a host. They have that all organized in a spreadsheet.
I've got air checks from Winnebago Street.
Oh, they've got some of those too. They went through the old carts.
Yeah.
And they've digitized all of those. They've digitized some of the pilots that never got on the air of other shows. It's pretty interesting.
I would still love to get pictures of the Winnebago Street transmitter.
We used to be in there's a radio station in 2049 Winnebago Street, WMFM, WMFM, which actually broadcasts city council meetings. And they went defunct in 1974, 75.
They got bought out.
They got bought out. And that's where the first WORT studios were. It was
Where the condos are on Winnebago now.
Yeah, familiar with that area. It's hard to go.
Yeah, to say it was makeshift exaggerates just how
It's an understatement. Yeah.
It was it was
a series of tubes.
Remarkable, and just the logistics of just running a station under those conditions were there's some horror stories about that. And
running an old transmitter, which was obsolete and for which you couldn't get replacement parts, so you had to MacGyver stuff.
Right.
And it was just amazing that we kept it running. And I was stupid and young back then, and I was working 2 full-time jobs. And so I did my work between like midnight and 5 a.m. or something. And then I went into my first full-time job.
So then this is just about when they're finishing the Civic Center. And you look at any material from the official program of the grand opening for the Civic Center in February 1980 has a full page about WORT moving into the Civic Center. I mean, this was going to happen.
That was posted on Facebook, I believe.
Yeah.
Very recently.
Yeah.
I had one of our groups.
Yeah.
That was fun to read.
And then, now I don't know, I'm not sure if this is your recollection, but the way I understand the story, there was a final board meeting and the board was operating by consensus at the time. And I want to say it was Susan Busby who refused to give consensus to us
The move-in,
to
yeah.
move in. And it's like, okay, we don't have consensus. And then there were other issues with the lease. And it was like, is it really a good idea for an aggressive news operation to be a tenant of the city government? Is this really a good idea? And we need 24/7 access and this and that and the other thing. So there are a number of reasons why it ultimately could have failed. But as I understand it, was Susan Busby saying no, and everyone said, okay, no consensus, we're not going, which was like the right decision. Yeah.
Now, when was that?
1980, 81.
So had we procured this building at that point?
No.
Okay.
We moved here in 82.
Okay.
This is the former Stash building, which was a drug research. It was originally a garage, but then
I think a tire sales
warehouse,
place.
yeah.
Yeah.
But then it was Stash, which it stood for is a drug research. And then
With an interesting acronym.
yeah. And then we moved in, and then we've been here for 42 years. Yeah.
Again, when we moved into this building, computers weren't a thing yet. So it's
Well,
amazing.
they were, but they were the size of this room.
That's right. Now your cell phone has more power.
My
than
dad
those.
worked at TDS too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Where did he work?
Well, he's a computer programmer.
Oh, okay. Is that
And so-
CSCS?
Yes, and we used to call it. And whenever
Yeah.
he had to work on Saturdays, my mom just couldn't deal with having 2 kids home on Saturdays. I'd go into the office and we'd be in the room of computers about this size. And the computers were each about at least 2 of the sections of records wide. And
Oh
they
my God, they
had,
let you in there?
and they had tapes.
Yeah.
They had punch cards, and the best thing was like racing my brother on a rolling chair.
Yeah.
There wasn't a lot to do. But,
Oh.
My mom was librarian for her career in Milton.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, and I remember the Dewey Decimal System and also racing on.
873, man, 873, American history.
That was my summer job.
Oh,
There was
that
no
is
air conditioning.
amazing.
We had a lot.
I grew up in Janesville, so
Oh, cool.
Talk about summer jobs.
Go for it.
Yeah.
Um,
Guess we are now.
Well, my first summer job was as a fry cook for Wetson's Hamburgers. And then I worked in my father. For the summer I was 16. I took the train into the city with my father every morning and filed papers in his law office in the Empire State Building.
oh my
Wow,
God, that's
what
amazing.
floor? What floor were you on?
37.
Oh. I
So-
made paint.
Huh?
My dad managed a paint store. We'd make it in the back
Yeah.
and he'd sell it out the front. And because my dad ran it, he hired me when I was 15.
Yeah.
He needs somebody else, so I got my best friend Mo.
Yeah.
we were the production, and then the coolest thing is that we would open them up right in front of you and it had tints with a hand drill,
Yeah.
and people would bring stuff up and we would tint it up, and
Yeah.
they taught me how to do that. That
Yeah.
was a whole lot of fun. But I don't know how many.
I worked at a
OSHA
hardware store
rules
and
we
did
were
that too.
violating, but to take,
Yes.
we clean out this big tub of latex paint and dump it down the toilet and
Yeah.
flush it and shit like that. Christ. This is back in the 60s.
I worked at a hardware store when I was 16 and mixed paint, and my boss was painfully frugal. And so he had me paint his garage with all of the
Leftover paints mixed together.
the paint that it was mixed, but it didn't, the customer was
Wrong
not
color.
satisfied. So we had gallons and gallons of different colors. And so it was this yellowish brown. Yeah.
Really weird color. Yeah.
And I just want to use up that paint.
But it was fun because there was no formulas like they do now. We would just do it by sight, and we had heat lamps and blowers and blow it to because it changes color when it dries, and you got to match it up.
That's amazing. That building is still there. It's now an Ace Hardware store in Janesville, and I went there, and there's almost nothing left of the old store, but I remember the steel beams across the ceiling.
Yeah.
I remember we sold birds. Yeah. We sold birdseed, and it was a metal building, like a pole barn style building, and it was out in the field and at the edge of town back then.
Yeah.
And so in the fall, the field mice moved in, and you would set in like 5 mouse traps and just put like a sunflower seed on each one and walk away, and you go bang, bang, bang. I worked at Love Stereo back in 1971, I think it was, and 94.9. The transmitter is located in the Baraboo Bluffs, and back then the studio was in Poinette, which was at the same place the WIBU studios were. And I worked from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. And one night I laid down on the floor to take a nap, and then I heard a squeak, and I woke up and there was a mouse about 2 feet away from me. So I never took a nap there again. It was an automated station. So they had a playlist of about 160 songs was all the songs they had on in a week. And to get the shift changed to get a different announcer, there was either an intro or an outro for the song. And there were these big carousels of tape cartridges, and both carousels would advance at the same time so that the intro or outro matched the song or whatever. So if it was an outro, the song was in the top one and the outro was in the bottom one. And so you had to change the announcer's intros and outros to the next announcer's voice. It was awful. It's awful. And that was that work and other stations that I worked at, radio was so god awful. Why can't we do better? And so that was when I ran into this book called Sex and Broadcasting by a guy named Lorenzo Milam. It said you can build a radio station yourself. So
Where is it?
Who?
Looking for you.
Stu. Oh, you got done? Yeah, he's out there some.
He's outside eating.
We'll be ready in a few
not
minutes,
really.
guys.
So Mark Timpany and I created a corporation, and then got a checking account and put $50 of our own money into the checking account, and rented a post office box and took out a want ad in the Alternative Radio Exchange, which was run by Lorenzo Milam, and went out to people who were interested in alternative radio stations. And the first piece of mail I got was from a conservative Christian group in Racine, Wisconsin, saying, "You're all going to hell." And we hadn't even.
Thought he was in here.
Broadcast.
We haven't
Haven't even done
broadcast.
anything yet.
Yeah.
Don't judge him.
We haven't even done anything to incur your wrath yet. Wait.
Are you still entertaining everyone?
Yeah.
Excellent.
Rolling out the stories. Oh, that's
They're all saying, please come back with the results. Please. Come back with the results."
No, I'm truly deeply enjoying learning about how the Madison High Club.
And then Mike O'Connor contacted me, and he had worked on other community stations and had come to Madison to look at WHA radio. And so he sent a letter to the post office box saying, hey, let's work together. And so that's how it all started. So he didn't like the corporation we formed. And I said, listen, we went to a lawyer and paid the minimum amount we could. And this is what came up. You want to change it? Sure. Go ahead.
I just registered an LLC in Wyoming.
Really?
For like $100.
Yeah.
So that's savvy. You don't need a lawyer anymore, right? It's kind of wild.
We probably could have done without a lawyer back then. I tried to get Paul Soglin to do it, speaking earlier of Paul Soglin, but he said, no, I don't do corporate law.
This is just
Where's Mark? No.
Huh?
Where's Mark? Japan or something?
No, he's living in Prescott, Arizona, which he said he was saddened to find out that it was the home of the Proud Boys, I think. Started in Prescott.
That's right.
So it's a super, super conservative area.
And
Well,
it's
we're
threatened by
hungry.
fires these days,
Yeah.
probably.
Well, if I'm leaving dog treats on the floor. I have a 78-pound standard.
Cool.
Very treat motivated.
Mhm.
We all.
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
Well, this
We
is
all have our
shocking.
poisons.
That works for me too.
And I started training him with a clicker.
Yeah.
So now I'm like clicking my friends.
Oh, I got the results, I think.
Do we have results?
I think Dan has.
No, we
more-
They are
both Dan,
printing,
we
it's
have
all,
to
they're printing.
Oh, they're
printed
printing.
it
Yeah,
black and white, couldn't
they
tell.
gave me the results and I couldn't make them out because they're
In black and
in
white.
black.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay,
Okay.
so I don't,
I just saw they were printed. I
Yeah.
didn't see what they looked like.
Yeah, so we don't know who won. because-
Yeah,
oh,
exactly. I don't know. We just tallied all the names. So that was our function, is to make sure that we had 53 names that were on the list.
So no pizza this year, huh?
it's the austerity measures. When,
That's how
when,
we made the budget this year.
when we are more fully back in person, we'll do that.
Yeah. I know.
We're saving it for the 50th.
Yeah, exactly.
Can
We'll
you
appreciate
believe
it
it?
more.
50 years? Wow.
I
Yeah.
can't.
I'm not that old.
I am.
When we started WART, I was working for Mid-Continent Broadcasting. I was out at the WTSO transmitter, and Roger Russell was the manager of Mid-Continent in Madison.
Mhm.
And I drove with Roger from Tokay Boulevard down to Winnebago Street. So we would look at the Winnebago Street. They had already moved out to the west side and turned it into Z104. So it was essentially not used for radio anymore, but it still had a studio in the front, and it still had an old transmitter in the back and a tower. And so I was riding with Roger, and I was saying, yeah, I with some friends and I were coming up with this idea of a community supported station. And he said, what's your nut? And I said, what do you mean? Well, what's your budget? And I said, about 100,000. He said, yeah, ours is about 100,000 a month too. And I said, no, a year. And I had this really sinking feeling. And he said, you're crazy. You won't last a month. 50 years coming up.
There you go.
Z104 is still.
I remember once when my daughter was in middle school and we carpooled and they all wanted to listen to Z104 on the radio. And because kids. So one day I said, you know, I used to work for Mid-Continent and I could take you on a tour of Z104 and introduce you to whoever they were, you know. And my good old daughter who knew how to butter up her father said, no, but if you could get us a tour of WORT.
Much more fun.
Like
Okay,
Johnny
one at a
Danger.
time.
Isn't Johnny Danger like a guy? who's
Yeah,
teaching
yeah.
before? And then he moved to a different radio.
There was a morning crew of man and a woman, and she turned ultra conservative.
Oh, yes.
Mr. President. I just realized that.
Well,
I
call
forgot
everybody to order before you announce it.
Okay,
And bear with me
a moment.
WMAD when they
Oh,
were
Did
still,
you know Rob Terry?
yeah, not well, but
Yeah, we got him in trouble once. He put on Inagata de Vida.
no, this is when, this is when the studios moved.
Are we ready to go?
Fish hatchery, they were.
Ready when you
butcher,
are.
Right.
basically. But it was the,
Uh-huh.
remember the mic?
Uh-huh.
Are we recording?
Yeah, we are.
While it lasted.
Yep. Okay, I'm gonna call the annual meeting back to order, the
3:44
at
p.m.
3:44 p.m. The Elections Committee has tabulated the ballots and the participating members who have been elected are, is it, where's the emphasis in the last name?
Yeah, it's McCanley.
McCanley. Julia McCanley and Nicole Ali have been elected to the board, so congratulations to that.
How do you spell McCansley?
M small c capital ANLY.
Perfect.
Capital ANLY and the other
Nicole Ali, ALLEE.
ALL.
Nicole. And for the listener sponsor seat, we welcome Jessica Lapointe and thank Dean for
you.
his years of service. Thank you very much. And we
All
hope
right.
you'll stay involved with the various committees that we have, especially on the 50th, because
Yeah,
because you have a great
Okay.
great awareness of the station, and we thank you for your.
Well,
And the,
How do we spell Lapointe?
LAP, capital P, OINT.
Capital P. INT
you know, that
are elected to the board. How do we want to phrase that?
have been elected to the board.
Okay.
I'm pleased to report that all of the bylaws amendments passed with more than 90%, 92 to 94% of the vote. Find out who those 7 or 8% of those people are. Hunt them down.
Who is the treasurer?
Well,
That.
well, the
Oh, you don't
position
decide
of
that.
treasurer is now vacant.
Okay.
And that gets decided now.
We're okay, so I will now call the meeting of the Board of Directors to order. A quorum is present. Member,
It's 3:47.
I should now stop recording here.
This is closed session, is it?
no, I mean,
No, but
you
it's a
can-
separate.
yeah, it's probably simpler to, yeah. So a quorum is present. Members Lapointe, McCanley, Graupner, Graham, Gutneck, Levitan, Davis, Spitzer, Resnick, and Ryan. Are we all here? So
All the board members could sit in front and have their
well,
board.
this will be very quick. This will be very quick. So we'll call the meeting to order. The first item of business is to elect temporary officers to serve until the next board meeting. You do that? You okay to do that? Starting now or, okay? She's okay to do that now. So do you want to make that motion?
Sure. Move for election of current officers.
But with the new treasurer?
Yeah,
Nicole, are
temporary,
we present?
temporary officers. Jessica.
Say again?
Is Nicole Ali present?
No, she is not. So not Nicole Ali is not. So it's the entire board minus Ms. Ali. And there's a motion to elect Levitan, Gupnek, Graupner, and Lapointe as the temporary officers to serve until the board meeting of July, which we will set in a moment. Is there any discussion on that? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. The next item, the only other item that can properly come before us is to set our July meeting date. We have been, our standard time is to meet on the third Wednesday of the month. We moved it to 6 o'clock, which people seem to think was a better time than 7 o'clock. So is the board, that was the schedule you were all told about when you ran for the board. So I'm assuming that is still a good time. Can we establish a meeting time period, a meeting time for 6 o'clock on the third Wednesday of the month?
Is it 6 to 9, just for my knowledge?
Probably 6 to 8. 6 to 9 would be unduly long for a particular meeting. Six to 8 would be the expectation.
Do we need a motion for this?
We need a motion for that.
I've moved that we establish 6 to 9 p.m. on the third Wednesday of every month. For meeting time.
Just make it 6 o'clock so we don't have so we just say it's the starting time.
Dan moves and
Second. Good, next second.
for a second.
Any discussion on that?
Is it a virtual option?
We're doing hybrid.
Hybrid,
And what we had, this is an unusual arrangement here. What we usually have is a big table. So, and I think at the last, yeah, I think that's the big table. That's the big table. I think people are finding it more, a better experience to come down if it's all convenient and feasible. I think.
Flooded.
Yeah, that was Tanya's problem last time, was she was trying to get in and she was flooded, but it's hybrid.
Okay. I'll just be on my way up to Minnesota for a rally. So
Yeah.
As long as I can attend.
Yeah. And
I'll just send regrets.
and most committee meetings are virtual. So let me know what, now if in fact you remain as treasurer, you will chair the finance committee. So you probably don't want any other committee appointments. You're welcome to them, but if you want to say that's enough for me for the first year, that's fine. And Mary Joy, the bookkeeper Mary Joy, can give you the full rundown of what those responsibilities would be before you sign up permanently.
Okay.
And you'd be on the executive.
And you'd be on the executive committee too. So it would be us, it would be you. So, you know, and you want to be on that task force, first of all, that task force for the future?
Please.
Okay, you're on it, and think about what other committees you want to be on.
How do I get more information?
Work with me and I'll show you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a whole section online that you can look at, the
Okay.
bylaws and
Yeah.
all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Dave will get.
And do you want to be on personnel? Because we have it.
Of course, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Personnel is also involved in the contract
Yeah.
negotiation.
Well, I think we have just finished the contract negotiations.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's
Well, there were professionals involved, Dave.
Yeah.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
no. I mean, it
Yeah.
was a really good process.
Mhm.
You know, without saying things in open session that you should only say in closed session. It was a good process and
Fantastic. I'm very pleased.
and I think we're on the verge of an agreement.
Okay.
It was a good process.
Good, good, good.
And I think,
Thank you, please.
yeah, I think everyone will say, okay, this is a good, this,
Good resolution.
yeah.
How long is the contract?
3 year. Well, it's not agreed to yet, but both, we had originally proposed 2, they asked for 3, we agreed to 3.
Do you do supplemental agreements?
We almost did a memorandum of understanding to deal with this overtime thing that goes into effect tomorrow. But under the terms as the union has proposed it and we have concurred, it would raise the permanent staff over that 43,000 level, so that would not be an issue. So we almost did a memorandum, but it doesn't look like we're going to need it. But
You're getting into closed session territory,
yeah.
and I shouldn't be
I'll
here.
stop asking questions.
It's okay, we got staff here. I mean, the hell with you, we got staff here. That's the other weird thing is there are things we can't talk to staff about.
Right.
Because,
How our union works.
yeah,
that's how our union
and so now,
Stu.
so we're having
Stu.
this, yeah,
Are we still meeting?
Yes.
Is this meeting still going?
yeah.
Yes.
It'll
Okay.
end short. Yeah. Yeah, because we're, yeah, but we'll adjourn it shortly. Thank you, Jeff. But we have 2 HR professionals. I mean, 2 people here know their HR. So, and I spent 25 years as a labor mediator arbitrator. So we got 2.5 people who know something. Okay. With that, we've got a next meeting scheduled. We've got a new interim treasurer who will consider whether or not she wants to do it on the full-time basis. We've got a new member of the task force on the future, and you let me know what else you want to serve on. And I think this was a successful annual meeting, a successful board meeting. And I think if there is no further
Doug
business,
wants to move.
we will, huh?
Doug wants to move.
Oh, Doug.
Do we need to, do minutes need to be accepted or anything, or can we move past that and do it later?
No, not
Next meeting.
next, right there. Yeah. We wanted to move adjournment.
Yes, please.
Go ahead, do it.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Okay.
I seconded it.
Oh, okay, fine.
Seconded by consensus. Okay. Thank you all very much. And,
I'm putting that in, seconded by.
Hi, everyone.
now,
Welcome.
stay in touch.
Welcome to the
I'm
new
off the
members.
beach.
Safe travels.
Say hi to Doug.
Call Billy to figure out what
Welcome
my
aboard.
next task
Yeah,
is.